Hello, this is Chloe. In this video, I'll be showing you how to crochet this doll body. So here are the materials you will need. The materials you will need are some size 4 medium weight yarn in any skin color that you would like. This is some Red Heart Super Saver yarn in the color Aran. An F 3.75mm crochet hook. A yarn needle, scissors, and some stuffing or polyfill. This is to fill the inside of the doll. So let's get started. To start off, we will take our yarn and make a magic circle. To do this, we will make an X on our finger with the yarn. And then take our crochet hook, then go into the first loop and pull the second loop through the first loop. So this makes a circle once you take it off of your finger. Then we will chain one very carefully to not close the circle. Then we will do 6 single crochets into the magic circle. To do a single crochet, you go into the magic circle, yarn over and pull through, then yarn over and pull through 2. So we'll do this 6 times. And after that, we will slip stitch to the first stitch. To do a slip stitch, you go into the stitch. By the way, we're not going into the chain, we're going into the single crochet we made, the first one. Then yarn over and pull through that stitch, then pull through the loop that's on your crochet hook. After that, we will pull this end to close up the hole that's in the middle. Like that. So now we have just a flat, tiny circle. Next, we will chain 1 to begin row 2. For row 2, we will do 1 increase or 2 single crochets into each stitch. So going into the first stitch, you make a single crochet into. There's that. Then in that same stitch, we will do another single crochet. So right here. Now you should see that both single crochets are in one stitch. So we will repeat that all the way around to get a total of 12 single crochets. At the end of the round, we will slip stitch to the first single crochet we made and chain 1 to begin row 3. For row 3, we will repeat the following: 1 single crochet into the first stitch, then an increase into the next stitch. So if you're doing this correctly, the increases on each round should be on top of each other, as you can see here. So repeat doing 1 single crochet into the next stitch, then an increase into the second stitch after that. At the end of round 3, we'll slip stitch to the first stitch, or single crochet, and chain 1. Next, for round 4, we will repeat the following, doing 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, like this, and then an increase or 2 single crochets into the third stitch. So as you can see, the increases are still on top of each other. So we're going to repeat that all the way around for row 4. Next, we'll slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1 to begin round 5. For rounds 5 to 9, we will do 1 single crochet into each stitch around. So this is the same for the next 5 rounds. So just do 1 single crochet into each stitch. Doll head should look like so far. So now we are going to slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1 to begin round 10. For round 10, we will do 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, and then we will do a decrease. To do a decrease, you go into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, then go into the stitch after that, then yarn over and pull through, and then we'll yarn over and pull through all 3 loops that are on your crochet hook. So we will repeat this around by doing 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches and then 1 decrease. At the end of round 10, we will slip stitch to the first stitch and chain, well, no, let's not chain yet. We will just pull up the loop that's on our crochet hook, because now we are going to stuff the head. So to stuff the head, we will take our polyfill stuffing, and then we will take a small, pretty small chunk of it, then put it on the bottom of the head. Then we will push it into the sides with our fingers so that there will be a layer of stuffing on the inside of the head, because we're trying to shape the head. Because we don't, whenever we just have when the doll's finished, we don't want the head to be able to be squished like this. We want it to be nice and sturdy and have a nice shape. So then after that, we will take more stuffing, put it inside, then do the same thing. And just repeat that until the head feels very firm and you can't really mold it into any other shape. But one thing you want to make sure of is that you don't just push the sides of the head out, then it'll just be a wide head. Make sure there's still some length to it. Make sure you don't overstuff this as well, because first off, it's just going to, whenever we do more decreases, then the stuffing will show in the decreases, and then you'll be able to see the inside of the head. It won't look very nice, so make sure you don't overstuff it. I think this head is pretty firmly stuffed now, so now we're going to put our crochet hook back into the loop, then chain 1. So next we are going to continue on to round 11. For round 11 we will do 1 single crochet into the next stitch and then a decrease. So do the same thing as I showed you before. Then we will repeat that around 1 single crochet, then 1 decrease. After that, slip stitch to the first single crochet and chain 1. Then for round 12, we will repeat row 11 by just repeating doing 1 single crochet into the next stitch, then a decrease. So repeat this for round 12. Next, we'll slip stitch to the first single crochet and chain 1 to start round 13. For round 13, we will just do 1 single crochet into each stitch. Now our head is finished and we will move on to the body. So we've also just completed the neck, that last round of single crochets. So next we'll slip stitch to the first single crochet and chain 1 to begin round 14. For round 14, we will do 1 single crochet into the next stitch and then 1 increase into the stitch after that. Repeat this around. At the end of round 14, we will slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1 to begin round 15. For round 15, we will do 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, then an increase or 2 single crochets into that third stitch. Repeat this around. After that, we will move on to row 16, so slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1. So now for row 16, we will do 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. That's the same thing. Then an increase or 2 single crochets into the next stitch. Then we will repeat this 2 more times. So 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. Then an increase. And 1 more repeat. 2 single crochets. And an increase. Then we will do 1 increase into the next stitch. Then 2 single crochets. And then 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, or just 2 increases. Oh, I meant 1 increase into the next 2 stitches. Sorry about that. Next, we will do 1 single crochet into the next stitch and in the last stitch. Then we'll slip stitch to the first single crochet and chain 1 to begin round 17. So now for row 17, all we will do is 1 single crochet into each stitch. Next, we'll slip stitch to the first single crochet and chain 1 to begin round 18. So for round 18, we will do 1 single crochet into the next 14 stitches. Then we will do 1 decrease. And after that, we will do 1 single crochet into the next 5 stitches. Then we'll slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1 to begin round 19. For round 19, we'll do 1 single crochet into the next 10 stitches. Then we will do 4 decreases. Then we will do 2 single crochets. And just skip this last stitch and then slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1. Now we're on to round 20. For round 20, we will do 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. Then 1 decrease. Then 1 single crochet into each stitch to the end of the round. Now for rounds 21 to 23, we will slip stitch to the first stitch, chain 1, and do 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. So now we are going to slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1, then do 1 increase into the next stitch, then 7 single crochets, then we will do 2 increases, and then we will do 4 single crochets, then another increase. After that, we will slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1. Then for round 25, we will do 1 increase and then 1 single crochet into each stitch around. At the end of round 25, we will slip stitch to the first stitch and finish off. So we'll pull up the loop that's on our crochet hook, then take our scissors and cut the yarn to be pretty long, because we're going to sew the legs to the body using this end. And here's what the doll torso looks like, along with the head. Now we will make the arms and legs. So we're going to start with the arms. So to make one arm, you make a magic circle by making an X on your finger and taking your crochet hook and going into the first loop, then pull through the second loop, then yarn over and pull through. Then we'll chain 1 and do 5 single crochets into the magic circle. After that, we will slip stitch to the first single crochet we made. Then we will pull the end to close the hole that's in the middle. Then we will chain 1 to begin round 2. For rounds 2 to 4, we will do 1 single crochet into each stitch. Now for round 5, we'll slip stitch to the first single crochet we made, then chain 1 and do 2 single crochets, one decrease, and then 1 single crochet. Then we'll slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1 to begin round 6. For round 6, we will do 1 single crochet into each stitch. Then we will slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1. Now for round 7, we will do 2 single crochets, one increase, then 1 single crochet. Then we'll slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1. So now for rounds 8 to 14, we will just slip stitch to the first stitch, chain 1, and then do 1 single crochet into each stitch. Then for round 15, we'll slip stitch to the first single crochet and chain 1, then do 4 single crochets, then we will chain 1 and actually turn. Then we will do 1 single crochet into each stitch, or just the next 4 stitches. This makes the shoulder so that whenever we sew the arm to the doll, it won't just stick out like this. It'll actually, it can actually lay flat where the body is, so the arms aren't just sticking out. So then we'll pull up the loop that is on our crochet hook and cut the yarn. Also with this end, we want to make it pretty long because we are sewing the arm to the body. So make 1 more of these, and then I will show you how to crochet the legs. Here are the arms all ready to go to sew onto the doll body. So now I'll show you how to crochet the legs. To make the legs, we will take our yarn, then make an X on our finger, and put our crochet hook into the first loop, then pull through the second loop. We're just making a magic circle. Then chain 1 and do 6 single crochets into the magic circle. Then we will slip stitch to the first stitch, or single crochet, and pull the end so that the hole in the middle closes. And chain 1. Now for round 2, we will do 2 single crochets, then 2 increases, so that's 1 increase, then 1 more, and then another 2 single crochets. Then we will slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1. After that we will do 2 single crochets, two decreases. So remember to do a decrease, you go into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, then go into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops that are on your crochet hook. So do this once more. Then do 2 single crochets. Then slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1. Now we will do row 4 or round 4, which is 2 single crochets, one decrease, and then 2 single crochets. Then we will slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1 to begin round 5. So for round 5 we will just do 1 single crochet into each stitch. Next we will slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1 to begin round 6. For round 6 we will do 2 single crochets, and then we will do 1 increase or 2 single crochets into the same stitch. Then we will do 2 single crochets. After that, slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1. Now for round 7, we will do 1 single crochet into each stitch around. Then slip stitch to the first single crochet, chain 1. Then for round 8, we will do 3 single crochets, then 1 increase, then 2 single crochets. Then slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1. Now for rounds 9 to 12, we will do 1 single crochet into each stitch. Of course, before doing that, we will slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1 to begin each round. Now for round 13, we will slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1, then do 1 decrease, and then 1 single crochet into each stitch to the end of the round. Then for round 14, we'll slip stitch to the first stitch, chain 1, then do 4 single crochets, then 1 increase, and then 1 single crochet. Slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1 to begin round 15, and for round 15 we will do 1 single crochet into each stitch. And now for round 16 we will slip stitch to the first stitch, chain 1, then do repeat the following: 1 single crochet and then 1 increase. So repeat that around. You should end off with an increase. So once we get to the last stitch, you should have just 1 more stitch left. Then we'll just do 1 single crochet into that, and then slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1 to begin round 17. For round 17, we will do 1 single crochet and then 1 increase. Then we'll repeat that around, and we will not have to do an extra single crochet this time. And after that, we will slip stitch to the first single crochet and finish off. So here's what the leg looks like once it's all finished. So we'll pull up the loop that's on our crochet hook, then take our scissors and cut a decent length of yarn. Then pull the end through the loop and pull. So make 1 more of these, and we are ready to start on the ears. We will make 2 ears, and just like with the legs and the arms. So what we're going to do is make a magic circle. So make an X on your finger, pull your crochet hook into the first loop, then pull through the second loop, then yarn over and pull through, and then we'll chain 1, and then do 3 single crochets into the magic circle. Then we will just pull on this end, and we will not slip stitch to the first stitch. We're just going to pull on the end, and then we'll finish off. So pull up the loop, then cut the end to a fairly long length. And there's 1 ear, so make 2 of these as well. And here are the ears, ready to sew onto the doll's head. So now, let's put it all together and sew everything together. Here are all of the components of the doll that we have made: the body, arms, legs, and ears. So let's sew it all together. First we will do the arms. So take 1 of the arms, then thread the end of the arm through your yarn needle, and then match up the arm on where you would like it to be. So I would like the arm to be right here. So just keep that in place. You can even use a pin if you would like. And then go into the stitch that is closest to the beginning of the end of yarn, right here. Then go into the doll, just 1 small strand of yarn of a stitch, then just sew it together. Then you'll do this same thing all the way around. So finish sewing this arm to the body and then do the other arm in the same way, then I'll show you what to do next. Here is the doll with its arms sewn on. So now, before we do anything else, we have to stuff the doll. So we have to stuff its torso here and its legs here. So first we'll do the torso. So we'll take some stuffing and then shape the body to what we'd like it to look like. Remember to use the same technique I showed you with the head by trying to make a layer on the inside with stuffing and then filling the rest of the inside with the stuffing. Also, the reason why we didn't stuff the arms is so that they can move and they won't just stick out like straight, but they can actually move. So that's why. So just finish stuffing the torso and I'll show you how to stuff the legs. To stuff the legs, I'm going to take one of my larger crochet hooks and then poke the stuffing inside of it. So take a tiny bit and then just poke it inside to fill it up. It's kind of difficult at first because the stuffing just wants to get holes instead of actually going inside, but it'll go in sooner or later. Then whenever you do that, the bottom is stuffed. So then you just do this for the rest of the leg and the other leg. Here are the legs all stuffed and ready to sew to the body. So what we're going to do is take our yarn needle and then we'll take one of our legs, then thread the end of the leg through your needle. So early in the video I said we are going to use this end here from the torso to sew the legs on, but we aren't going to do that. We're going to use each end of each leg. So thread the end of one of the legs onto your yarn needle. Okay, there we go. So thread that onto your yarn needle and then take your doll body. You can cut the end shorter. Now we're going to sew the leg onto the doll body. So just match it up, make sure everything lines up nicely. Then we will go into one stitch of the side of the first leg. Then we'll go up into the one stitch of the side of the torso. Then we'll sew that together. Like that. And then we'll continue on to the next stitch of the leg and go up into that stitch and up into the next stitch of the torso. Then sew that. And just repeat doing this all the way around. Well, not all the way around actually, because we're going to stop right here, because there are no stitches on the torso to sew to the leg. So do this to a few more stitches until you get to the middle of the torso. Okay, and once we've done that, we will take our other leg and then place it on the opposite side of this leg here. Then start to sew some stitches together on the second leg. Make sure that the feet are lined up as well. So just sew those stitches. And continue on until you get to the back of the second leg right here, and I'll show you how to sew the rest. Once we've gotten up to this point, we can sew the legs and the torso together at the same time. So just go into the next stitch of the leg you're working on, then go into the next stitch of the torso, and then go up and sew that together. And then go into it again like we just did. Then now we'll go up. Then we'll go into the stitch that is closest to where you are at with your yarn. Then you go into the same stitch that we just went into on the torso, and then sew that together. Then we're going to want to do this one more time so that it's secure and won't fall apart, because this is a point where the legs like kind of go out because they're separated from each other. So then we'll go into the next stitch of this leg, then up into the next stitch of the torso, then just continue on as we were doing. And once you've gotten to where we started sewing, then we will want to go into this leg here, then go into the point where we we sewed 2 times. Then we will sew the insides of the legs together. So you go into the next stitch of this leg here, then the next stitch of this leg, and then just sew it together. Then into the next stitch of each leg, do the same thing. And just continue on until you get to the other side. And once we've gotten to the other side, we will do the same thing we did where we did 2 times of sewing the same thing so that it's secure. So just sew into sort of an X so that these legs and the torso are fully sewn together and nothing will come apart. And once you've done that, all we have to do is sew the ears on and do a little bit of sculpting on the face. Then we'll be finished with our doll body. So just sew all these ends in, besides one of them, just the longest end that you have left over. Keep that end and then sew all of these other ends into the body so that everything's not gonna fall apart. Then I'll show you what to do next. Here's our doll body almost finished. We have the legs sewn on and the arms sewn on. So now we will sew the ears onto the sides of the head. So take one of your ears and then thread one end into your yarn needle. Then go into the edge of the ear that the end is closest to, and you can sew into that. Then go into, well, first place the ear where you'd like it to be. I think this looks pretty good. So then just sew the ear to the side of the head. And once you've gotten to the other end of the ear, just go into the head and then sew the end into the head. Like that. And we've finished sewing the first ear. So just do the second ear the same way, and I'll show you how to sculpt the face. Here's the doll after we've sewn the ears on. As you can see, since I pulled the yarn into the head, making an indent kind of thing in where each ear is, it kind of sculpted where the ears are to make it look really realistic. So now we will take the longest end that we left and thread it into our yarn needle. Then go up into where you would like the eyes to be. So I'd like one eye to be right here. So I just put the yarn into that spot. Then we're going to go down just like one little stitch into the side, and then we will go into the other side where we'd like our other eye to be. And I'd like that other eye to be right here. Then pull onto this end so that it kind of closes where that stitch is and makes it go inside of the head. Then we will do the same thing on this side, except we'll go down into the head to the other side, like this. And then pull the end so it also makes an indent right there. Then to make the nose, we can go back into the other side. Then just go into where we'd like our nose to be and do the same thing by making a little indent in the face so that it looks like there's a nose there. Like that. And that's how you sculpt a face. So I'm just gonna cut this little tail of an end here. And now we're finished with our doll body that we spent a very long time to crochet. So I hope you enjoyed learning how to crochet this doll body, and thanks for watching. Bye.